Well, hello everyone. This is Andrew Wright with another Review the Right Thing. How is everybody? It is good to be seen. Hopefully it is also good to see me. And hopefully everybody had a great holiday, stayed safe, got to see some loved ones, did the whole, normal holiday spiel. Me, I just worked a bunch. I'm in retail, so Christmas was pretty crazy. And so obviously it was really hard for me to get motivated to do videos when I was not working. I just wanted to relax or watch movies or play video games. So it's been like a month since I've done my last video, which was my favorite releases of last year. So I've picked up a bunch of things since then, and we're only going to go over a few of them because I didn't want to take up a whole lot of time. I wanted to keep these videos a little bit, manageable. I don't want, somebody to have to sit there and watch a 30-minute video because I don't think the 30-minute videos are doing all that great. Maybe once I have a wider audience and people enjoy watching me, 30-minute videos won't be so bad, but until then. So, first thing first was picking up, all the original presses on CD, as I've said in one of my collection updates last year. I think it was Spiritual Healing I had found. Wanted to pick up all the original releases of them because I liked the original sound more so than the remaster. However, I think the remaster transfers pretty well to the vinyl, and I know people out there are going to probably argue that it's still a digital transfer pressed onto analog wax. It's not going to sound any different than the CDs, but to me it does. I did go down like the rabbit hole of reissue versus remaster, and to me remasters, even if they're done right, can be a little bit on the bright side. And I just prefer how the original mixes are a lot of times. The instruments sound a lot more natural. Maybe there's not always as much bass and oomph to the recording, but a lot of the times the mix just sounds more natural. The instruments are have breathability, and just everything just flows, and there's dynamic, and it just feels good. A lot of times I just feel like remasters are just too bright. They're just too on the high end. They're not much dynamic because it's all just mixed really high. But I feel like these work really well on vinyl. I've liked all the other reissues. Sequier, this is a band I discovered via Bandcamp. Black metal that mixes in some elements of folk and nature to kind of get that. You get wind and birds and all kinds of different elements. And if you're not a purist when it comes to black metal, I think this is a project you should definitely check out. I love classic black metal. That's what I started off on. But I also have branched out a lot since those days of basically only listening to angry music. So this album is Suspended in the Broom of Eos. So highly recommend it. It is on Clear and Green Splatter, so great record, highly recommend. Next up, we've got some Neurosis through Silver and Blood. This is a reissue that came into work used. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have sought it out. I have some later Neurosis on vinyl, but all of their early stuff is really expensive, and even these reissues go about $60 a piece. And yeah, so if I didn't get my discount on it, I probably wouldn't have snagged this, but if you're not familiar with Neurosis, you should be. Maybe it's not your cup of tea, but I definitely would say it's something to at least listen to and be aware of. They are kind of pioneers of the post-metal genre, not really pioneers, but just great stuff. I highly recommend checking this out. Going into some more post-metal, and people might just say, well, why don't you just listen to Neurosis? Well, I am also a music snob like that sometimes. I've spread myself thin across all genres. Well, not thin, but I have an appreciation for everything. So, I understand you can't just devote yourself to one genre. So I can't just devote myself to everybody that sounds like Neurosis or Isis. But I don't think that Isis is undeserving of any credit because I think they did a lot for the genre as well. Obviously Neurosis started it, Neurosis are the pioneers, but I think Isis did a lot to bring that genre to a wider audience as well. And so this is their first record, very similar to how Neurosis kind of started off. They have a little bit more of a hardcore edge on this, but this obviously does have a lot more of the experimental ambience, post-metal kind of vibes that they go for in the later albums, that Neurosis went for in the later albums. So obviously there's no denying that Isis was influenced by Neurosis, but that doesn't negate that they are not worth checking out. So if you've not listened to any Isis, check them out. Also post-metal. So Black Wax, reissue, but again, pretty hard to find an original press, so I was pretty stoked to get this. Next up, we've got Tribe Called Quest with Thank You For Your Service. Just never picked this album up when it first came out for some stupid reason. I had a buddy that I shared a Dropbox with, and so he was able to get me the tracks, so I've always just had it on my computer, listened to it several times over the last couple of years. But we recently got a used edited copy in at work, and we can't listen to explicit rap because, we've got families shopping in there, so I've been playing this edited CD quite a bit, and so finally I was just like, I need the vinyl. It's such a good record. Unfortunately, we are missing a member on here, but it doesn't take away from this piece being amazing. Next up, we've got some Revocation with Outer Ones. This is on a kind of cool, blue, teal, splatter kind of thing. Not splatter, but, it's got the big opaque center. So, anyways, these guys are some, thrash mixed with death, mixed with progressive. It's a very interesting package, but if you like your death metal with a little bit more of a different edge to it, highly recommend checking these guys out. The vocals are definitely more on the thrash side. He doesn't get as guttural with his vocals, but the guitar player also plays an Artificial Brain, who are also an amazing project, more on the guttural side, but very atmospheric, crazy death metal. And these guys are just great musicians. It's an awesome project. I feel like they are a band that with each release, they just get stronger and stronger and stronger. I like the old stuff, but it's definitely more on the thrashy side, and I feel like they really, later albums kind of started to figure out who they were. This is their most recent from a couple years ago, but great record. Next up, I picked up Portal with Swarth. And for a long time, Vexed Void was the only album I was familiar with by them. It was recommended by a buddy, and I was kind of blown away by it. I've never listened to anything like them before, and there's still not a whole lot out there like them. There are definitely some bands that I've come across that kind of have that denser, thick, evil, grimy sound, and so, but these guys are just, on a different plane. Great musicians, some awesome riffs, but you really have to take your time and kind of pay attention to this because there is a lot going on, and the way it's layered and recorded is just really thick and grimy. It really takes a lot to kind of dive into this and pay attention to it. I've listened to Outre, their most recent one as well, but basically this is the only three pieces I'm familiar with by them, but this is a great record. It is just on some cool swamp green, but highly recommend checking this out if you like your death metal with a lot of chaos. And next, picked up some Dolly Parton. We had some country traded in on CD, so picked up this on CD, and then like a week later we got the vinyl traded in, and this is a later press. I'm pretty sure it's not an OG press. It is 74. I think this album came out in like 69 or something like that, so maybe 70, but I still think that this is like a couple years after, so it's not a first press, but it's an early press. But I know a lot of the music I listened to last year was rap, and then towards the end of the year I kind of did start getting back into some more of my metal stuff and some country, because I do enjoy some older country, and Dolly is just great. This is an awesome record. Highly recommend this one. And last, I'm just going to show these together because they are both midnight, but picked up both of these. Satanic Royalty. Pretty awesome record. And then last year's Rebirth by Blasphemy. So this one didn't make my 2020 list, but however, I had a lot of honorable mentions, and I only mentioned so many. I could have done a whole video on honorable mentions for 2020. This has a lot of replayability, but it just wasn't something I revisited a whole lot last year, so it didn't make my list, but it's still an excellent album. And if you like your black metal with, again, something different, they are kind of more of a black and roll project. One man from Cleveland, so shout out to Ohio. and I could basically just say it's Motorhead and black metal mixed together. So if you like your black metal with like this kind of punk speed metal tinge, look no further than Midnight. Great shit. So, and hopefully you guys all enjoyed this. Seeing as now we're 2 weeks into the year, I've been off to a pretty lousy start for 2021, but I am going to try to get more content out there. I just watched the 4K release of Total Recall, went through all the special features, so I will be doing a video for that, and hopefully get more of those done this year. So keep tuned, subscribe if you like the channel, check out past videos, and yeah, hopefully you stay safe, mask up, and just be nice to one another. Love you all, and I'll talk to you soon.